Hey, there you are.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Gareth. This is Caitlin, our
Hi,
social media director.
Let's talk about how 1 year of working as the social media director for the podcast We're Here to Help, how I've taken it from this to this in a year. It is officially 1 year that I've been working with the We're Here to Help podcast. So I thought I would make a little reflection video going over what the past year has been like, because being their social media director has truly changed my life. I'm gonna be doing my makeup at the same time, but I don't normally do this, like record and talk at the same time, so bear with me. I got this dream job literally with an email. I fully did not expect anything to come out of it. Basically, I saw their Instagram and I was like, maybe they don't have a social media manager. I can reach out, and I emailed them. Literally the first time I'd ever done anything like that. Did not expect anything out of it, and when they emailed me back, I just was freaking out. But yeah, if you're interested in me talking about that a little bit more in depth, feel free to go check out that video that I have made of it. I joined the team on October 3rd, which somebody commented one time that it was an iconic start date, and honestly, true. That was the first day I met up with Jake and Kevin. They kind of interviewed me and were just like, go ahead. Something that I think is really interesting is I'm not a podcast girl. Before this podcast, I had never really listened to podcasts on a regular, consistent basis. There was not one that I really liked until I found this one. And so for me, when I felt that call to reach out to them, that was literally the only time that's ever happened. Also, I would just like to say as a disclaimer, I am nowhere near a makeup expert. I feel like I just really started to learn how to do makeup within this past year as well. So if I'm doing anything wrong, that's just how it is. So let's get into why I just really liked this pod specifically. If you're not as familiar with We're Here to Help, it's basically a call-in advice comedy podcast show. The tagline is literally free advice that feels free. And I thought that was hilarious, and it's translated also into the show. The caller calls in with a problem that is big to them, and Jake and Gareth and sometimes a guest will come on and they will pitch solutions. Sometimes they'll role play the advice. They don't promise good advice. They just promise advice, but the advice honestly tends to be not bad at all, but they're just not trying to be experts. They're just earnestly trying to help the caller. And I just liked the way that it had a structure that was repeatable, and they just felt bingeable and TV episodes. You don't necessarily have to go listen to any of the episodes in a specific order. I had always viewed podcasts as sort of serious self-help and when you're trying to get your life together. And so I really like the idea of a comedy podcast, but specifically with a storyline versus a podcast where you might be listening to it for a specific person, and it's just a conversation that they have with their friends. And for me, that just doesn't appeal as much. That just expanded my mind of what I thought podcasts could be like. So I like that a lot. I also watched New Girl probably in 2020, 2021-ish. I wasn't a huge fan of it when it was coming out. So many things in entertainment nowadays are sequels or remakes and all these things, right? But I personally don't enjoy that very much. Even though Jake Johnson played Nick Miller on New Girl, and they've had New Girl guests on the pod, it's not a New Girl show specifically, but it does have New Girl aspects of it because of how much Jake and the rest of his previous castmates from New Girl are similar to their characters and how much they would improv on the New Girl show itself. But I liked the fact that it had those aspects of nostalgia without that being the center. Gave them also something new content for it. That is also no shade to actors or whoever decide to do podcasts based on rewatches or related specifically to a show or a movie they were in, because I can imagine that is a huge part of your life, and if there's a demand for it, there's an audience for it, and gotta pay the bills, go for it. It's just something that I just didn't find myself wanting to be watching stuff, listening to stuff like that, and it just feels very saturated right now, versus this felt very fresh and new, and I had not seen something like this before. So I was like, this is so cool and so smart. Because I liked it so much, I wanted to tell all of my friends about it. I just felt really drawn to it. Like, it's funny, it's smart, it's repeatable. There's a format to it with a beginning, middle, and end, and it can tap into nostalgia. So there's an audience like already there that just like needs to find it. And I thought that those aspects would make it a very successful podcast, but the specifically with like those things would also help it perform well on social media, in my opinion. And I was right. That being said, I knew that the podcast would likely be successful no matter what, right? I thought that it was great, and I just thought no matter what, this podcast is going to do well. So why should it not be me doing their Instagram? Why should it not be me getting to put like my name of like making these clips? Because I just really did think the show was so good that it was inevitable for it to succeed. That has also led to some imposter syndrome, because I'm like, well, the show would likely do well no matter who's running the social media. But I think that I've realized that that doesn't give myself the credit that I think I deserve, the credit that I do deserve. I also got lucky in that the way I discovered the show actually was because of a random TikTok I saw on my For You page of somebody recommending it. I think I also got lucky in that the timing was so right. I found the podcast about a month after it got started. So if it had been like any more ahead, like I think they probably would have already had somebody. So I don't think they would have needed me. And I don't think I would have wanted to reach out because of that. I don't want to like step on anybody's toes. And it's like, okay, they already have it covered. They don't have a need for one. There were just so many small events. Like, I feel like me becoming a part of this team was like a butterfly effect, like so many little events that seemed meaningless, like in the moment, that ended up leading to this really cool opportunity. And also the episode that I ended up reaching out for, I didn't even start looking at their Instagram until there was an episode called the Fake Jake episode, where that lookalike, like there was a picture of him, and that was what pushed me to look at their Instagram. Like if it had been any earlier or any later, someone else might have reached out first. Yeah, I just wouldn't have done that. There are so many more people who are like a lot more advanced than I am. Like I had done social media management in like part-time jobs and like the full-time job I was working at the moment, but I think if I had been more experienced, I would have known like, I don't really want to take that on because it probably was going to be a lot of work, which it was. I was at a time where I felt like I had nothing to lose. It's kind of funny because people will tell me like, oh my
gosh, you were so brave for reaching out and all these things and you're so courageous, but it's like,
it was literally because I felt like I had nothing to lose, and what was this going to hurt? Like, yeah, fully didn't expect anything to come about it. That's why it feels like I got lucky in that way. Just was like the first one there, but I'm trying to do my best to unlearn that, and I have been doing that this past year. Luck might have gotten me into the door, but my skill set and my ambition and my drive and all that I can do is what has kept me there and has gotten me the results that have been mind-blowing. So let's get into those. In the past year of working with the podcast We're Here to Help as their social media director, I have helped them grow their social media to overall about 400,000 followers, like across all platforms. Wow, 203 million views across all platforms. Yeah, it's been nuts. Like, we have about 180,000 followers on our Instagram, 170,000 followers on our TikTok. It's been wild. And could anybody else do that? Maybe, but I really do believe that it is my own view, the way I view the podcast, and my own like strategizing, the way I edit. There's so much like thinking that goes into it that I just don't think I credit myself enough for, because of the fact that it feels very natural to me. For me, this is very second nature, that it feels like, oh, well, anybody could do this, but the truth is, not everybody could. Could another social media person like do it? Like, yeah, but when I'm editing and when I'm making the strategies, when I'm making the comments, it is my own personality, my passion that has allowed us to grow so fast and get these results. And I have to remind myself of that when I'm just kind of doubting myself, you know? I'm definitely gonna finish my makeup before I finish talking because I talk so much. And also I can just do my makeup fairly quickly-ish. I mostly do my makeup in the car actually. And also I can just do my makeup fairly quickly-ish. I mostly do my makeup in the car actually. But literally within my first week of working with them, they started with 6,000 followers and we hit 10,000 followers within that first week. So like the guys were super excited and they really did believe in me and they trusted me a lot. And I loved that so much. We literally hit the 100,000 views, like 100,000 followers on Instagram my first 4 months in. Like, it was wild. And I'm just so proud of that. And sometimes when I'm like not feeling confident, I'm like,
Oh, anybody could have done that.
and it's like, no, not everybody could do that. Not everybody has my point of view, because the way that I edit and the way that I like view marketing is it's this whole thing of like, this is what I would want to show my friends. This is what genuinely makes me laugh, and this is the context they would need to understand it, because I would want to get other people to love this as much as I do. They could have others doing that, but I don't know. I was the one who took that initiative and got that right timing, and we have succeeded so much since then. And I do credit myself for that. Like, it had to have good content, of course, but good content doesn't necessarily mean it'll turn into those results, specifically for social media. Short form versus long form, it's a little bit different. You don't always just take clips directly. Like, there's so much more thinking that has to go into it, adding visually engaging stuff like hooks, rearranging storylines, and keeping the essence of the long form, and having it do well on a platform that it wasn't originally made for. I will say though, when I first started working with the podcast, I was kind of nuts. I just loved it so much, and I was so excited about the opportunity that I was making probably around 3 clips a day. Like, what? No amount of money would you be able to pay me to be able to do something like that again. Looking back, it definitely was unsustainable. That's like unrealistic, but I do think that's what led to a lot of the very quick growth, because I just was so excited and so driven at that time. That was my passion project. I was hyper focused on it, and it like kind of consumed my life, but I just really enjoyed it. And that was the first like 4 months. It was just so much fun for me, and I had never like felt like lit up in that way prior. And I didn't realize that, like, wow, I can feel this way when it comes to work. It just didn't feel like work. It felt like fun, and I don't know, I just loved it so much, and that's why I was able to do something like that. Not that I don't still love it, it was just like, well, I was gonna get burnt out. I just wanted to be sustainable for my own life and like wanted to do this long term. But the thing that I think that posting 3 times a day helped me do was it gave me a lot of data, in that I could see what types of content performed well. I was trying out and experimenting a lot of stuff. I was playing with what different hooks I liked. I was playing with what I wanted to include and what people would respond best to, and then kind of analyzing that and like using that moving forward when I was making more and more clips. Those were more and more opportunities for me to see what the audience liked, how the algorithm, like how it performed with the algorithm, what were the best posting times, what factors actually impacted a content's performance. And so I would say that if you're going to be posting 3 times a day, it should be for that reason, to learn, and the growth is secondary. Because now I post maybe like 3 to 4 times a week. Very different. What like fueled me to be able to do that at the time was just the love and the passion I had for the podcast, and like really wanting to share it. And like, the more times you post, the more chances you have of like people finding it, and the more chances of like the algorithm pushing it out. And yeah, but I think it was just also that excitement to learn and to experiment and see what worked. That is very important. I had learned so much from it, and I think that has informed like the strategy I want to be going forward, and also like trying to match what goals the guys in the team want for the podcast, like long term, because it was really good with short term and for making those like clips and so many like every day. But yeah, I think it's really the data. But it also had taught me so much about like what it meant to be putting out content and like editing things like really quickly, because I actually don't like video editing like at all, which is why when it comes to social media, for my own personal platforms, I started off with TikTok, and I'm just like talking videos. So, you know, very minimal editing required, but I needed to know enough editing in order to carry out the vision that I had for what I want clips to be like. And so when you're doing that 3 times a day for like 4 months-ish, you're just gonna like naturally get better at it. And also, I think it's really good that I didn't get too caught up in that perfectionism, because for me, I think I had set a goal of like wanting to do 3 videos like a day. Yeah, and so it was a lot of just like internal motivation. And because of that, I didn't have time to focus on making something perfect. I just was like, okay, let's put this out, because we're gonna learn and we're gonna grow from each one. And that's something I just really needed, like as a perfectionist, because I tend to get too much into my head, but I really do think that doing it in this way helped me to like learn. Like I look back at my old videos and I'm like, I don't think I would have edited it the same way, but I wouldn't have gotten to that point unless I had like actually done it. I needed to be able to put it out a project and like execute with it in order to do it at the pace that I do now. So basically that like first few months of me working on it, I think really did set me up for success moving forward and informing how I wanted to be doing my strategy, how I wanted to do my editing, and also just like allowing me to build my own confidence, and because I could see the results I was capable of achieving, helped me gain the trust of the team. It's kind of hard to do that like now, I guess, in terms of like if I were to do any work anywhere else, but I'm really glad that I got the chance to do this like as my playground kind of. So like I said, I definitely had been struggling with confidence a lot, and still do honestly, when it comes to my work in social media, because I think if I had more confidence I wouldn't have just like randomly reached out, but I think if I had less, I don't think I would have been able to do it. But being a part of this team really has helped my confidence grow so much, and I attribute a lot of that to my success and like the results and the metrics I've been able to bring, but also with the amazing team that I've been working with. The ones who I was most interacting with were really Jake, Gareth, and Kevin, who are the 2 co-hosts and the executive producer. Even though I struggled a lot with my confidence, they were just always cheering me on, and just the way they framed things like and like supported me was just very important to me and my growth at that time. Every achievement that I would be sharing with them, they would be super excited about it for me. Like I remember when I was hitting 10K, I didn't want to say anything first, like I was kind of like refreshing and checking, but it was actually Jake who emailed me saying, congratulations, you hit 10K. It was really exciting to getting results like that, like very quickly, but then I was worried about the expectation that would create. It made it easy to do because I had no expectation on me, but now there are some expectations. And I remember Jake messaging me and saying like, let's hit 50K by January, and it was like October, and I was like, what? Very ambitious. And he was like, there's no failure to this, like you just gotta try. And I was like, wow. And I think for me, the fact that he believed in me, and he and Gareth and Kevin had all believed in me in that way, even when I didn't really believe in myself, just really pushed me even more. I don't know, I think that really carried me. And so it was a lot of like fake it till you make it confidence. If they believed in me, like why shouldn't I believe in myself? Have the confidence of a mediocre white man. And like they are not mediocre whatsoever, I'm not saying that, but it's just more of the way that they view like obstacles and like self-doubt. Like there just wasn't that in existence, and I think that that's something that I learned to like absorb and take in, because that's just not something I had ever experienced before. And I'm just really like grateful for being exposed to that sort of mindset. Like, yeah, why not? Like, it's possible. That's just like fact. There's no self-doubt, there's no thinking about the obstacles. It's just like, yeah, let's do it. And then like them doing that and like having that belief in me too. How could I not believe in myself? Because for me, I've grown up as a woman, as a Filipina. There's just differences in the ways we have been raised and taught to navigate life. And so kind of getting to see how these super like successful people carried themselves and how they approached their ideas and going towards their goals was like really interesting to me. I feel like I learned so much of that because I tend to doubt myself in general, but kind of getting that validation from them, which is not a great, like, getting external validation, but I think it was a really good first step in helping me to develop my own internal confidence. Because yeah, I mean, like, they would literally always just be like affirming me and like telling me how great of a job I was doing, and just knowing that they believed in me meant so much. And it's also important to note that at this time I was working at a job, when I was like first starting with this podcast, I was working at a job where I also kind of doubted how good I was really at like what I do and I had been looking for other jobs and like hadn't really been hearing back. But the fact that this team trusted me and they gave me that full like autonomy and they like really supported me, because they trusted me to kind of do whatever, I got to fully have control over what I want to be putting out versus like at a corporate job where I have to run things by legal. It has to go through so many more hands and there's so much more red tape not to cross. It's different, you know, and I don't feel like it's mine. Versus this one, like I remember the first time that I had like the call with them, literally October 3rd, they were like, yeah, you know more than us. We are 40-year-old something men. We trust you. So go for it. Ask for forgiveness, not for permission. And that just like blew my mind. And I mean, not only did my confidence grow because of how much they believed in me, but like I also got to see that for myself and like being happy with claiming ownership over it, knowing my own like thought process and knowing the thought and the love and care I put into editing videos and seeing the actual results that like have come about of it. That's helped my confidence like so much, because now I have something that really feels like mine and like I can really be proud of in a way that my previous social media jobs didn't necessarily allow me to do. I also have a personal platform, but it kind of gets tricky with that because I can know something that I want to post about, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want to be posting about it, because like I know it'd do well, but I don't necessarily want to be doing that. But that becomes tricky when it's like personal and professional. Like, what do I sacrifice? But no, with this one, it's like, wait, I have the results. I fully did this. They fully trusted me. You have to know who your audience is, know what are the good like social media practices to be abiding by, etc. And I feel like I've grown a lot in my confidence. And like now, I'll like talk to people who like I probably would have thought of them as like farther along in their career that I wouldn't even be able to reach, who have been doing internships and who have been like have like full-time jobs at like these really big companies. But then I tell them also about like what I've done and they're amazed, and it's like, what? And now I feel like confident going into rooms, being able to say, oh yeah, this is what I do, versus before when I was just like, oh yeah, I work in marketing in a corporate job. Can talk about my work and feel proud of it. Just has been largely due to the podcasts, both with the team's support, but also with the results I've been able to see literally for myself. And I feel like this is a career trajectory I never could have imagined. And I don't even have the words. I've done words for like how many minutes now? Like 30? I feel so incredibly lucky to have gotten this opportunity to do it, because yes, I think that this has been I just think that this has been within me all along. I think that I've been able to do some really incredible things and I've learned a lot. Like I've grown so much from it, but the core of that, of who I am and what I can do, has not changed. I've always known that this was possible. I just needed the opportunity to really blossom and show what I had been capable of, and I just needed somebody to say yes to me. I'm so grateful that it has been Here to Help that has done that for me, because yeah, I just feel like it has been the perfect opportunity. I saw this one video where it was like, you want to, if you're marketing, to work at an agency, you know, so you like learn so much and you have all these different like roles and like you're wearing so many different hats, right? Versus like at a big company, there is like a big name, but there's not as much of an opportunity to have as big of an impact because like the roles and the systems are very already like defined. Yeah, so there's just like, on one hand, there's like that more opportunity to learn, but then this one, it's like the bigger name. But I feel like I got a perfect mix like of both, in that it's a small team and I'm getting to do literally whatever the heck I want, but also like having that name and like getting to show like these giant results. And I cannot believe how far I've come since then and how many doors have opened up for me because of the podcast. I literally love doing this so much, and I'm so grateful to getting to do this. And thanks for everybody who's been sticking around for this journey. It's really changed my life, what I've thought possible when it comes to career, how I carry myself and the confidence that I have in myself and what I'm capable of, and I'm just so grateful. And I hope I get to continue doing stuff like this for as long as it keeps my spark alive, you know? Thanks for watching, and let me know what you want to see next. Till next time, bye!